Good morning and welcome back to Questioning Sense with me, mate. I hope everybody is well. We are all doing quite well here. We have a sickly child, so I'm actually at home looking after him today. He has a stinking cold, so we're just trying to get him through that. So to relieve the boredom of being stuck in the house, I thought I'd make a quick video. And this is an interesting one for me to make. Those of you that kind of follow us on Instagram or have been watching this will notice that I've certainly developed a bit of a penchant for the note of tuberose, this wonderful floral. Now it's been a bit of a journey for me, because when I first kind of delved into sort of florals in general, I wasn't a massive fan. But over time, basically, I've become more and more interested in florals in general, but specifically tuberose. Now, it's one of those big white florals that can be quite dominant in a perfume. And I think in the beginning, I was a bit sort of put off by it, but now I've become quite the addict. So I thought what we'll do today, I think I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 perfumes that I adore with the note of tuberose in them. So I thought we would go through them and just have a little bit of a chat, because in the beginning I always thought of tuberose as quite an overly feminine material, and the perfumes that I'd experienced the tuberose in were incredibly feminine, and a lot of these are, but some are really, really not. So I thought it'd be a nice opportunity for you guys to see some that are really, really, as you would expect, sort of flowery tuberose sort of fragrances, and some or a few that are a bit more edgy and a bit more kind of interesting to those that like your darker and more exciting perfumes. Now my wife loves tuberose as well, so these are perfumes that we can share, or most of them that we can share. So that's always quite a nice thing. I don't know. I know this video is probably not going to be that popular, because a lot of people that watch the channel are kind of into their fairly masculine perfumes, and quite a few of these are really, really not masculine at all. They are very feminine. But personally, I really enjoy a good perfume now and again. And tuberose to me is a material that is so versatile. It works all year round. Tuberose works incredibly well when it's hot, because it's quite cooling and refreshing, and there's something really good about wearing a strong floral perfume in the hot weather. I think it works equally as well, if not better, than the citrus-based perfumes. So it's quite often, you know, that some of my favourite hot weather perfumes are really, really floral. But it also works well, as I've discovered, in colder weather. So what we'll do is we'll go through these. Some you might be surprised at, some you may have heard of, some you might not have. And then we'll talk a little bit about each of them. So it's a bit of a whistle-stop tour, and it will hopefully, you know, at the end of the video, hopefully you might consider trying a few sort of tuberose dominant fragrances, or certainly trying them, exploring them, because I think, you know, I've certainly over the years missed out on wearing some incredible perfumes because I've kind of been predisposed to think I don't really like tuberose. And it was a bit of a learning process. There's one in particular that really changed it all for me, which I'll mention when we get to it. But so it should be quite an interesting tour of some rather fascinating and rather incredible perfumes. So shall we start? So first up, we have the latest to my collection, and this is a real oldie, and it's called Diamonds and Emeralds. Look at that for a gaudy bottle, from Elizabeth Taylor. Now I took a punt on this because it's like a 100ml bottle, and you can get it for around £12, and it's a real super cheapie. As you can see, I've not worn it that often, and neither of my wife, because we've not had it very long. But this is what I've become quite obsessed with. Now it is dated, and it does kind of, without being derogatory, remind me of something that a very powerful female boss would wear in the 80s or the 90s. I mean, I don't know exactly when it came out. It's been around for a long time. But it's a fascinating perfume. You have notes of gardenia, you have peach, you have tuberose, you have jasmine. They often sit well together. You have some orange, you have a little bit of musk, and then in the dry down you have some tonka, you have some patchouli, and then you have, I think there's a little bit of vetiver in the base of this one as well. But this is a classic perfume. And it's beautiful. There's something quite, I don't know, there's something quite safe about it. It's just such a big hitting perfume as well, with excellent performance. And if you're looking to sort of try something like that, because it is going to be outside of most people's comfort zones because of its sort of, you know, association with kind of powerful women at work and stuff like that. And now if you are a powerful woman at work, you definitely need to have this one in your collection. If, like me, you're a guy with a beard, it may be a bit of an odd one for you to wear, but it's certainly one that I think is a good way of dipping your toe into the water, because it's so inexpensive. You know, that 100ml bottle, although it's a shocker, is only around 12 quid. So you can really, really do well to explore it. It's not going to be for everyone purely because it is a very feminine and very potent perfume. You know, if you're wearing this, you're not going to be, you know, sort of shy in the back of the room. You're going to be spotted because it does really scream out, especially in the opening. But it kind of calms down and gives this wonderful sort of peachy, sweet floral vibe. There's something a little bit bitter in here as well, which gives it a little bit of balance, which works out very, very well. It's just a lovely, lovely perfume, but it is very much a perfume. So that was a recent arrival for me and one that I'm enjoying exploring. My wife likes it too, so I'll imagine that's going to get a fair bit of wear. Now, next up, we have this classic from 2000, which is Michael Kors for Women. This is an absolute bomb, and this is a beautiful, beautiful fragrance. It's quite sweet though. You have tamarind, you have freesia, you have tuberose, you have lily, you have peony, you have some iris, you have some musk, you have some vetiver, and it is, I think, the classic, typical bubblegum tuberose fragrance, which again leans very feminine, but it's big. It doesn't have I don't know, it opens quite big, but it doesn't seem to have the performance that I think the original ones did, because this is the latest version of it, and I understand there has been some kind of reformation, as you would expect over the years, but it's still very, very wearable. It's great on a hot day. It's very calming, but the sweetness is there. I love the way the tamarind, which is quite a bitter, tangy, you know, if you're a fan of, you know, HP sauce or something like that, or you're into cookery in general, you'll be very aware of what tamarind is. It's this sweet and bitter, intense taste, and the smell translates to that as well. So you have the sweetness, this bubblegummy tuberose that kind of takes over, but there's something a little bit sour that battles against it, which gives a really, really good balance. But this is a good, fun perfume, and this will be another one to wear on a hot day or, you know, a warm evening. It will be even better. I really enjoy this, but you do have to really, really enjoy your feminine fragrances. And that leads us on to my wife's favourite, and one I really adore. This is the second bottle of it, and look how much is left. I've got to get another bottle of this quick shot. And this is Byredo Flowerhead. And what a beautiful fragrance this is. This is, to me, all about tuberose and jasmine working together to give this big, almost white wall of flavour, of texture, of smell that comes out. Massive, massive opening. It's huge. It's a room filler to start off with, and then it drops off after about an hour or so to become quite a long-lasting skin scent. It's a bit suede-y in the dry down, which is really good. So you have a very sort of feminine opening, which then leads to more of a masculine dry down. So this would be a really, really good one to try if you are not that overly keen on overly feminine perfumes, because it has a very feminine opening, but once that opening calms down, then it becomes much, much more unisex, and it just wears incredibly well. It's one that, especially in the opening, you really, really get noticed wearing. It's a beautiful fragrance, but again, be aware that because of the, you know, most of these are going to be quite feminine, although there's a few more masculine ones coming up. But this is awesome. You don't hear much about it, and that surprises me because Byredo are quite a popular house, and this is one that seems to have been sort of gone completely under the radar. But if you're interested in a really realistic interpretation of tuberose and the way that it meshes and blends with jasmine, then Flowerhead is a must try. Okay, next up we have the absolute queen of these kind of fragrances, and that is Nascimato's Narcotic V, one of my favourite houses. Obviously this ties kind of a little bit with Auto Paresi, but wow, this is beautiful. It's massive, it has huge presence, it's almost cold, this huge white flower that envelops you as you spray it. Really, really massive. There's a little bit of jasmine and a hint of something green under the tuberose, but this is kind of the, I don't know, this is like the nirvana of tuberose, if in one way of looking at it. There's a little bit of spice in the background. As I say, there's some jasmine, there's something quite cold in it. It's a very pure smelling fragrance. It's not sweet, it doesn't go down the bubblegum route at all. This is just a pure white fragrance. It's so intense, it's so beautiful, and the presentation is obviously stunning. I love the colour of the liquid and the cap. This is one that I absolutely adore, and it's a really, really special occasion for me to wear this. You know, I wear a lot of Auto Paresi, I wear a lot of Nascimato, but this is one that I reserve for very special occasions. It's something, I don't know, it's quite an experience to wear it, and I love going to the pub and wearing it in the evening, especially on a summer's evening, because it's so cold, it's so, I don't know, it's so fresh, it's icy, it's glorious, and this is certainly of the feminine leaning tuberose fragrances that I own, this is the absolute queen of them. I adore this one. I put it on a pedestal, and so does my wife. So she is rationing herself with it. You know, my wife is very keen on wearing a fragrance that she loves all the time. She'll go weeks wearing the same one, but even she has decided to put Narcotic V aside for special occasions only. It's a bit, I mean, I like wearing it casually, but if you were dressing up for an evening and you wanted to really make you know, sort of stand out, then wear that. And you know, if you're female and you just want to be the most glamorous woman in the room, wear Narcotic V. It's fantastic. And for a guy, please, again, you will stand out wearing it, and it does smell quite feminine, so you've got to be comfortable with that because it is a big hitter. So these are the kind of the more feminine leaning tuberose fragrances that I own. And now we're going to have a look at the other side of tuberose, how it can work differently in perfumes. So we'll start with the one that changed it all for me. When I got this perfume, I loved it, and then I picked up on the tuberose in it, and then that really piqued my interest in tuberose. It kind of started this whole addiction, I suppose. So we'll have a look at this one next, and this is Barrel by Min New York. What a fragrance this is. It's just, oh, it's just amazing. It's peaty, it's boozy, there's tons of rum in it, it's woody, it's really intense. It's like a pirate ship setting out to go plunder the seas. But amongst all this chaos, you have this beautiful, crisp, white tuberose. And what that allows the perfume to do is lighten up, because obviously all the elements that are in this, especially in the opening, are incredibly heavy. They're incredibly dark and intense. And as they're kind of crushing in on you, it's becoming really dark and a sort of a almost seedy-like adventure. Then this beautiful, crisp, white tuberose just picks up in the middle of it all and lightens everything up. It makes the perfume much more airy, it lifts it from your skin, and it dramatically changes the direction the perfume's going in. And this is, you know, again, it's a unisex perfume, but this is a really blokey perfume. It's quite a masculine one because of the booze, the woods, the earthiness of it, and then this beautiful tuberose that lifts everything up and makes it a really exciting wear. It's an expensive one. I know this one came from, there was a problem with stock, I think, and TK Maxx in the UK ended up with the entire collection, which could be had for like £30. It's a lot more expensive than that at the moment. We're talking over £200 for a 70ml bottle. So it's not one to blind buy. If you can find it cheap, grab it. It's a stunning fragrance. But otherwise, you know, if you're going to look to buy it, and it is a perfume I recommend, I would strongly suggest sampling it first because it is expensive. I love the presentation of Min New York. They're a really kind of niche brand. And they don't, you know, the perfumes kind of represent that as well. There's a lot of integrity in the way the perfumes are made. They're exciting and they're interesting. But this is the one that opened tuberose up to me, and it's an amazing fragrance. So if you get a chance to try it, please do. So that is Barrel by Min New York. Next up, another one that's relatively new to me that I have become absolutely obsessed with. Again, if you follow us on Instagram, you notice I've been posting about it quite a bit. And this is called Cabaret Nocturne from Visiteur Parfums. This was made by Cecile Zarokian for the house, and this is phenomenal. This is just an amazing perfume. I literally could wear this every evening. I love it. I've worn it to work, probably not the best place to wear it, but I couldn't resist it. It's absolutely glorious. I mean, the presentation, the bottle, the cap and everything is phenomenal. But this is just me in a bottle. It really is. It was inspired by Yanez, the guy who's behind the house. He went to a bar in Lisbon in Portugal called Cabaret Nocturne, and it used to be a brothel, and now it's a really trendy kind of bar, like nightclub type thing. And he had an amazing night in there. He drank lots of booze and had lots of fun. And what he managed to do was remember the smells of it. So in this you have a gin accord, you have tobacco, you have musks, you have everything you could imagine of. Now, there is a full review of this from a sample I did a little while ago if you want more information. But in the middle of all this sort of animalic, sexy, boozy chaos, there's a beautiful tuberose note which you pick up from the opening, and it stays with you for most of the perfume's life. An incredibly long-lasting perfume, which is an absolute joy to wear. There's a sweetness to it. It wears incredibly well. The animalics and the slight sort of, I don't know, funk is in the base, but it's present, but it's countered by all the other materials that are in this to make an extremely exciting and fun wear. It's a modern perfume that smells like a niche old style perfume. It's like something that, you know, you could imagine from sort of one of Roger's collections, or, you know, a Galan that's just been rediscovered. It's beautiful and it works so well on my skin, and I'm sure it will on yours. There are 3 from Visitor, all amazing. I think there's this one, there's one called Beach Bazaar, and I've forgotten the Thousand Lakes is the other one. So all 3 perfumes are extraordinarily good, and I highly recommend that you explore them, because there's some fantastic perfumes in the collection. For me though, Cabaret Nocturne was my favourite. As soon as I smelt the sample, I burnt through it and I couldn't wait to get a bottle. So, you know, here's my bottle, and it's a stunning, stunning fragrance. Okay, and then the final one to look at is from that genius that is Sean Mayer. Now, I've included this in the list, but it's going to be very, very difficult for you to get it. This is called Benton Park. And this was one of, I think, of 25 that were made. I think there was only a release of 25 perfumes. And this is Sean working with the American perfumer. There you can see. And this, oops, sorry, and there you can see it. We've got some fluff stuck under the label for some reason. So there it is. And what Sean had done was, there's an area near him called Benton Park, which is, you know, most of Sean's perfumes are sort of made to describe, you know, give you an olfactory description of an area that he knows, or a scenario that he's been in, or a memory that he has. And this is from an area near where he lives, I believe. Now, Benton Park was the name for this, but what Sean wanted to do was explore the more raw, natural smelling tuberose. Now, tuberose in all of these is kind of like a more refined, and this is completely different. It's different to any kind of tuberose I've ever smelt before. It's almost meaty. There's a mentholness to it. It's incredibly potent, incredibly fresh, incredibly raw, and it's blended with vetiver. So vetiver and tuberose together, you don't often find them together in perfumes like this. And it creates something incredibly unique. It's a big, big hitting perfume. It's a room filler. And because of its scarcity, it's one that I'm not going to be wearing that often, but you know, this is one that I have a little cheeky spray in the evening just to smell and just enjoy. I've worn it out a couple of times, and it's so addictive. I had to kind of put it back to the back of my cupboard, because I know what's going to happen. I'm going to burn through it, and I really want to keep this one. This is one that I want to always be able to smell, purely because it's so unique. There's a butteriness to it. There's an earthiness, there's a grassiness from the vetiver, and it all combines together to make something absolutely astonishingly good. And if you ever see one come up on eBay or anything like that, pounce on it. It's just such a unique perfume. It's not going to be for everyone, because it is so edgy, it's so out there, it's incredibly niche smelling, as you would expect. But by crikey, it's a stunning perfume. So there you have it. That's a quick look at my tuberose collection. I will be adding to it. I would particularly keen to get the Charnay's Tuberosa by Jorge Lee. That's meant to be outstanding, so I really would love to get a bottle of that. Obviously, I'm going to need another bottle of Flowerhead any minute now, because we're out of that one. But the whole point of this video basically was to show you a little bit more about this material, tuberose, and show you that it can be used in so many other ways. It's an important material for me now, and my collection is kind of reflecting that. I'm sort of really, really researching it and looking for more and more tuberose perfumes. And this may be for you too, I don't know. But hopefully the video will give you an urge to go and explore tuberose, and maybe not write it off. And I know a lot of guys do, and I know it sort of sounds really sexist, but I was the same. I just thought, no, it's too floral. It's too much like, as Claire Smurfy Girlie said, a bunch of flowers in your face, and it can be. So try and find one, try and find a perfume with tuberose in it that you like, and just spend some time with it and sort of try and understand this material. It's been a really rewarding journey for me, and it's really opened my eyes to other elements of perfumery that I may have kind of sort of turned my nose up a little bit, I suppose would be the best way of putting it. So there you have it. I hope you've enjoyed the video. I hope it's been of interest to you. If you've got any questions about any of these, please hit me up on here, or follow us on Instagram and ping me some questions there, and I'll be more than happy to answer them. So listen, a very indulgent video. I did one on leather. I've done one on tuberose. I'll be doing one on cinnamon very soon, with winter coming. So there you go. I hope you enjoyed it, and we shall see you on the next video. Cheers, thanks, and bye.